Today, Greece is one of the most amazing vacation destinations in the world. It has a myriad of gorgeous beaches, historic ruins, and exceptional mountain ranges. But the most important part of visiting Greece is getting the chance to try some authentic cultural foods, many of which are a part of what is called the Mediterranean diet. In this video, I will be discussing the importance of the Mediterranean diet and its historical impact on the health of people in Greece. The purpose of this video is to reveal how dramatically this diet could benefit your health and how it could prevent many long-term diseases for you in the future. First, let's discuss its origin. The three countries who first practiced the Mediterranean diet were Spain, Italy, and Greece, and although it is unknown where the exact origin of where this diet arose, it is known that those who inhabited the early civilizations of Crete practiced this diet. Crete is a small island in the southern part of Greece, and their diet was actually a coincidence of its agricultural patterns. The access to water made it easy to attain fish, and the land allowed for the consistent growth of fruits and vegetables. The people of ancient Crete prayed to their agricultural god Demeter for abundant annual crops and fish. But what necessarily was the diet that these ancient individuals prayed to have each year? Although this chart is modernized, it still reveals key components of the ancient practice. The Mediterranean diet is one that focuses heavily on the frequent daily consumption of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. The major sources of protein in this diet are from nuts, legumes, fish, or seafood. Fish and seafood is recommended to be consumed in 2 or 3 meals a week. Traveling up to the next level in the pyramid, chicken and turkey are other big sources of protein in this diet. They could be consumed daily in moderate portions. Similarly, eggs, cheese, and yogurt could be enjoyed daily but should be in small amounts. Finally, at the top of the pyramid is red meats and sweet treats. Other foods that can fall in this category at the top could be potato chips, crackers, butter, or any other greasy foods. Foods that fall in this category should be very limited and only consumed once a week or once every other week. One way the Mediterranean diet limits food items in the top portion of the pyramid is through the regular consumption of olive oil instead of butter. Many meals made with butter could be substituted with olive oil to avoid breaking the diet. Another important thing to note is that this diet should be accompanied by regular physical activity. It could be as simple as walking the extra mile or as extreme as a lengthy gym routine. If followed correctly, this diet is actually in alignment with the acceptable macronutrient distribution range that Americans follow today. The AMDR is the range of intakes for different macronutrients that provide the body with an adequate amount of essential nutrients. It was created by the National Academy of Sciences, and this model is the most modern version of it. The AMDR recommends that a little more than half of one's diet should contain carbohydrates. Due to the wide range of foods that have carbohydrates, it's normally easy to meet this range. Next is proteins, which should account for 10 to 35% of daily macronutrient consumption. It is easy to attain in the Mediterranean diet due to the variety of proteins like nuts, fish, and poultry. Lastly is fats, which should account for 20 to 35% of one's diet. Foods that contain fats within the Mediterranean diet include olive oil, avocados, fish, dairy products, and nuts and seeds. However, many people today find themselves above this range due to the boom in fast food restaurants and the regular consumption of fatty foods like butter, potato chips, candy, and any other unhealthy fat-filled foods that are limited in the Mediterranean diet. But what makes a fat healthy or unhealthy? The healthier forms of fat are either monounsaturated or polyunsaturated. All unsaturated fats have at least one double bond between 2 carbons. The cis fatty acid on the top of the image in the middle is the basic structure of a monounsaturated fat. These fats are typically liquid at room temperature and are beneficial to health. The image on the left shows some examples of foods that contain monounsaturated fats. The trans fatty acid is the molecule on the bottom. These molecules also contain a double bond between carbons, but their different configuration changes the function of the fatty acid. These fatty acids have a higher melting point than monounsaturated fats and are typically found in unhealthier foods as shown in the image on the right. So how do trans fats cause health problems? The image on the left explains the body mass index or BMI scale. It is calculated by dividing a person's weight in kilograms by their height in meters squared. Although the scale is not completely accurate due to its lack of account of muscle mass, it has been proven that individuals who consume very large amounts of trans fats typically have a body mass index above 30. Obesity on its own limits individual activities, but it can also cause many health issues. One of which being diabetes. Diabetes is a metabolic disorder that is indicated when blood pressure is abnormally high. Type 1 diabetes is believed to be due to genetics, meaning that if a close family member has type 1 diabetes, another individual in that family can be at risk for developing type 1 diabetes in their lifetime as well. It is an autoimmune reaction where the pancreas is unable to produce enough insulin to lower blood glucose levels. On the other hand, type 2 diabetes can potentially be caused by genetic factors, but it is usually a direct result of modifiable lifestyle factors. Type 2 diabetes is when the receptors in cells cannot bind to the insulin being emitted from the pancreas, or when the pancreas is unable to produce enough insulin, both of which cause blood glucose levels to rise. The key difference to note between both types of diabetes is that type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune reaction, when type 2 diabetes is a direct effect from obesity or other lifestyle factors. Therefore, trans fats should be limited to avoid obesity and the diabetic health complications that could follow it. Another way that overconsumption of trans fats can negatively impact the body is by causing heart problems. Eating foods with high levels of trans fats over time could increase bad cholesterol. Bad cholesterol is a lipoprotein known as LDL. The normal function of this lipoprotein is to carry cholesterol from the liver to cells, but when it is in excess in the blood, it can build up plaque along the arteries in the heart. When this plaque builds up over time, it can tighten the blood vessels and make blood flow very difficult. This occurrence is known as atherosclerosis and is usually unnoticed until the plaque ruptures or if the plaque is severe enough to block blood flow. So why is this important? What does the Mediterranean diet have to do with the link between trans fat consumption and these health issues? Here are some key foods in each main food group from the Mediterranean diet. The portion of the diet that includes the occasional consumption of red meat and sweet treats is excluded due to how little people consume them on this diet. All of the foods that contain monounsaturated or polyunsaturated fats are highlighted in yellow, while any foods that contain trans fats are highlighted in blue. There is very little fat in peaches, cheese, and yogurt, but it is still important to note that these fats exist in these foods. There is a clear indication that the Mediterranean diet has many foods rich in monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats compared to foods with trans fats. Especially since the Mediterranean diet specifically limits items high in trans fats like these, we can draw the conclusion that the Mediterranean diet could help prevent obesity, diabetes, and atherosclerosis simply due to eating the correct fats for our nutritional needs. But unfortunately, despite the cultural ties that Greece has to the Mediterranean diet, the country is statistically very obese today. Almost 25% of the adult population have a body mass index above 30. This alarmingly high rate has to do with a few factors. One being the cultural shift in Greece during their years of war. Although Rosie the Riveter was a slogan for the United States when women began to work, women in Greece began taking on jobs during Greece's involvement in World War II as well. Culturally, dinners in Greece take time to produce, but due to the new stress of work, women were unable to have enough time to buy and cook diverse meals every night. Instead, they began to rely on westernized foods from imports with high levels of trans fats. These foods included beef, pork, and other meats due to the modernization of refrigeration and freezing. And in the years that followed the war, microwavable and quick ready-made dinners became more popular in Greece as both men and women had to work. Despite Greece's current challenges against obesity, it is truly one of the most beautiful locations in the world. We must thank their early civilizations for being one of the first to practice the Mediterranean diet. I hope your key takeaway from this video was to reduce your consumption of foods with trans fats, such as microwavable meals, sweet treats, red meats, processed foods, or any other foods that I mentioned earlier on in this video.